we didn't get to speak much last time about dating and about how nice guys seek the validation and how it shows up in their intimate relationships. How much do you think of nice guy syndrome stems from just wanting and needing the love and validation of women?
Well, probably began with mom. So yeah. And another quote from one of my coaches in his book that I love. He says, "A man doesn't mature until he quits seeking the approval of a woman." And I thought, I was listening to that on an audiobook while driving from California to Washington. I had to pull off the road and keep replaying that. A man doesn't mature until he quits seeking the approval of a woman. Unfortunately, the way most men date, especially nice guys as I define them, is all about seeking the approval of women. Pick me, choose me, get naked with me, want to be my girlfriend. It's all chasing approval. And, as a marriage therapist, I started doing marriage therapy 40 years ago. And, I've been married a few times. Most guys walk into my office, they're still trying to chase the approval of a woman that, has said, I do, and married them. So that approval seeking, I think, of course, began with mommy. We come into this world, we have a caregiver, we're completely needy, dependent, vulnerable. And so, we had to make sure stuff was good with mom. We had to make sure she was in a good mood, she was available, and then we had female caregivers, and then we had preschool with women, and then kindergarten and elementary school. It makes sense that since we were born as men, that it felt like life and death to get the approval of women. But unfortunately, chasing that approval with women in terms of the dating scene in the dating world actually works completely against the results we want to get.
Mike, what's the problem of chasing the approval of women?
Well, kind of like chasing that success through hard work. You actually never do achieve it. And it's based on the assumption that the approval of, let's just say, feminine women could actually be attained. I don't know how many women have you been with, but have they been all consistently approving of you day in and day out?
No.
No, of course not. And so is that even attainable to get the approval of women? What if instead we were seeking the approval of ourselves, maybe the approval of our male peers and friends through how we live our life and how we show up and our integrity and our authenticity and our values? What if that actually was attainable? I sat down to talk with you. I spent 5-6 days out at a retreat center with 40 guys and just watching the love of men. I assume everybody's straight. The love that men were showing each other and would show me. I go away from, doing the work I do with men, feeling much more loved than I've ever felt in any relationship with a woman. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of that, but what I'm saying, if we go seeking that kind of approval from women, not only are we probably not going to get it, maybe it isn't attainable, but then we start acting in ways that don't tend to turn women on, that don't tend to make them go, I want to get close to that guy. I like how I feel when I'm around that guy.
So you say a woman may want to be attracted to a nice guy, but biology won't allow it.
Nice is not a turn on. There's a, I can't think of the name of it. You may know the name of it, but there's a dynamic that giving to people does not actually make them like you. Nice guys think that. Well, if I just give this person something, they'll like me. Asking people to give something of you is going to increase the likelihood that they're going to think well of you, because now the mind has to justify, I just gave something to that person. I must think well of them. I must think highly of them, because we don't give stuff to people we don't like. Yeah. So requiring people to give stuff to you actually is more likely to drive up them, wanting a connection.
Yeah, there's
you get me. There's a name for that. I can't think of the name of it.
I know what you mean. Well, I mean, so reciprocal altruism is the dynamic that it's based on, but I don't know what the name of that particular effect is.
Something effect, and I can't remember.
Very interesting.
I'll think of it later. I'll go, why didn't I think of that
you
during
can tell
the
me
podcast?
It over dinner. That being said, it's so... There's another element in there, which is implicit in me asking for something from you is the sense that in future you probably get to ask something from me.
That's
right?
okay.
But that, I think, is the opposite of that. Is here is me giving something to you, which means that in future I'm going to ask for something in return. Here is a gift, which
that's the covert contract.
Correct, which in future is going to be a debt.
But the other person doesn't know about the contract.
Correct.
And that's why when all of a sudden they're not given to us and we're all resentful and frustrated and pissed off and passive aggressive or whatever, and they're going, what are you even talking about? I didn't know that there was any strings attached to those things you gave. Now, I'm a giving, generous person. I like to give. Most people like to give. But when nice guys go see, I'll give you an example. I teach men to be social animals, kind of going back to these isolated men. As I mentioned, when I got divorced from my second wife, I was in my late 40s, had never lived alone as an adult. I married my first wife 2 days after I graduated from college, moved out of the dorm, moved in, right? And there wasn't much gap in between my first and second wife. And when I got on the online dating sites, Match.com, that was before the swipe right apps, and I looked at profiles. I looked at women's profiles, all the things they said they did, the wine country, the wine tasting, the skiing, the trips to Europe. And I wrote my profile and I thought, I spent the last, 25 years, going to my kids' sporting events, walking the dog and trying to make my wife happy. That's what my life looks like. and I thought that's not going to attract a lot to me. But more than that, I thought, I want more of a life than that. I want more of a life. And so the act of wanting to learn how to date was part of what moved me to start creating the kind of life I wanted to live, right?
Well, you have two choices, right? You can either lie about the sort of life that you're going to live or expose to the world the boring as fuck life that you actually are having.
And that doesn't go well in the profile, So I made my bucket list. I want to learn to shoot a gun. I want to ski. I want to learn Spanish. I want to travel. I want to do this. But mainly I worked to become a social animal. If there was anything that I could do, and I could do it in public, I went out in public and did it, whether it's, reading my New York Times or, eating my breakfast or going out to have dinner. I'd go to, happy hour bar in a restaurant. I'd take my laptop. I'd take my books. If I could go be in public, I'd go. And I practiced talking to people around me. And then I started being successful in terms of dating and getting laid. And my clients started saying, Robert, teach us. I'm not a dating coach, but you're having success. And so what I teach men, the approach I take is don't, you guys want to go learn these pickup techniques and this magic and the NLP and the hypnosis and the peacocking. And I call that pounding on closed doors. She's hot. I want her to pay. That's approval seeking at its ultimate. I tell guys, when you go approach a woman just because she's hot, you've made her the alpha. She's the decider now. And remember, she's got lots of men approaching her. She's the decider. You're not. You've made her the alpha. You're the beta. All these red pill and pickup guys all think, I'm alpha. No, you're chasing her because you want her approval. You want her to say yes. You've just given her all the power. But what if you don't need that? What if you're just living this good life and then all these doors open around you and you notice women, smiling at you, walking in front of you a couple extra times unnecessarily, bending over when they put the plate on the table. What if you just start noticing all the doors that are open? Now, this is, dating, but this is life, right? This is the abundance. You can go pound on closed doors all day long. That's a lot of work. I'm a big fan of walking through open doors. And then guys go, well, but, it seems, and I love this quote by David Data. Choose a woman who chooses you. If you just, well, I chose her, no, you're going to chase and you're going to work and you're never going to feel her approval. But the guy said, well,
even if you manage to get the marriage to work, even if you manage to get the ring on her finger, or even if you manage to do the rest of it.
You know what? Again, as a relationship therapist, I think I've spent more time with married men suffering through their woman not choosing them than single guys. not getting women to choose them. Because the married guy, well, I'm married. It's the only choice I got now. I've got to get her to choose me. And I got guys who will say, Robert, how can I get my wife to want to have sex? How long since you've had sex? 14 years. And I go, I have no clue. I don't know how to fix that. But what it is, they're trying to get a woman who's not approved of them in probably over 14 years to magically approve of them enough to get naked with them and let him, poke her with his body parts. So it doesn't matter if these are single guys or guys in relationship. If you're chasing the approval of a woman who has already made it obvious she's unapproving of you, she's not approving of you, that's a big waste of your time. Why not walk through open doors? And the guys go, well, but yeah, the women who seem to be interested in me, they're all fat or ugly or, old. And I go, that's your limiting beliefs. I've been with so many amazing women in my life, and I didn't chase any of them. People ask me, Robert, how'd you meet your wife? I was walking down the street in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I heard a voice that say, hola, senor, want a massage? I said, no hoy, mañana. Not today, tomorrow. I thought, I liked your voice. And a buddy of mine had been saying, Robert, listen more to your emotional messages. I go, I liked her voice. I didn't even remember what she looked like. Turned around, walked back, said, how much? Started getting massages. 6 months later, she basically propositioned me. I asked her out, and we've been married 7.5 years now because I walked through an open door. I didn't have to go pound on and she is the most amazing, crazy, beautiful, sexy woman I know. And I'm just so blessed and I'm so grateful. My house, my dog, you've encountered Nala.
I remember.
You need to go let her out. My wife was standing outside the house. She'd forgotten her keys.
I remember that as well. I apologize,
was barking to let me in, while we were recording the podcast. So I'm a big fan, but bring it back to the approval seeking. I teach guys what I call test for interest. Just get out in public and with everybody you meet. Don't wait till you see a pretty woman. Anybody, men, women, old people, young people. Just how's your day going so far? Been shopping? Things ever going to get rainy? That was a hell of a thunderstorm last night, wasn't it? Yeah, we got to watch a great thunderstorm here in Austin. Just anything, social pleasantry. That's level 1 testing. If that level 1 testing just organically continues, I call that level 2. You connect in some way. The conversations you have in these podcasts, quickly, you're good at this. They go to level 2. All of a sudden, you're talking about things you probably didn't have in your notes. It's just enjoyable conversation. That's just how social interaction works. But somebody has to start. Somebody has to say, how's your day going so far? There's got to be some start to it. I can teach guys to do that. A lot of guys will get pretty good at that. Then they want to make the level 2 happen. I go, no, don't. It'll just happen. Most of the time you say, how's your day going so far? Fine. And I tell guys, all you got to do is check for high or low interest, perceived high or low interest in having a continuing interaction from the other person. And if all of a sudden you hit it off, you're having a conversation, it goes 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a couple minutes, you're standing in line, waiting for your coffee, whatever. Most of the time that will end. And you say, hey, nice to meet you. Have a great day. But occasionally there's a real connection there, whether it's you talking with another guy, whether it's you with a woman. Now at level 3, you have to require something of them to see how high that level is to have a continuing interaction. Typically it might say, hey, give me your number, give me your Instagram, give me this. I'll call you. I got an idea. I got a plan. We'll connect. And if they go, yeah, that's great. I'm really busy these days. Well, it's low interest. You find out what you needed to know. Or they say, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to connect with you. They give you a number, whatever. Then that's high interest. But what I found is that most men, because of that approval seeking, especially with women, they get to level 2. They seem to have the woman's approval. They're having a nice conversation. She's talking a lot. It's going well. They don't want to blow that, so they don't do anything that might risk the approval. They don't say anything that might rock the boat. They don't require anything of her. They don't touch her. They don't take her hand and lead her. They don't they get playful with her, and they just start playing it safe. That's the boring part that women go, what? When I'm on an airplane, I'm sitting next to a woman, if you talk about what do you do? And I go, well, I'm a relationship. I teach men about, well, what do you teach men? The women always want to know, what do you teach men about relationship? So, I tell the woman the kind of stuff we're talking about. And the women would go, can I tell you a couple things to tell your men? I go, okay.
This is like doing a request from the DJ.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you play a couple of tracks for me?
Yeah. Could you play, We Built This City?
Yep.
So to say, tell the men, trim their ears and nose hair. That's
Okay.
one thing to say.
Okay.
The other thing to say is tell them to polish their shoes. Shoes are important to women. Women notice their shoes.
That's interesting.
Right? But then they go, can I ask you a couple questions? And I go, sure. They go, how come I see a guy, I look his way, I smile at him, you know, I open my body, I turn towards him, you know, I notice him a time or two. How come he never walks over and talks to me? And I said, because he's scared. And they go, why? And I go, because you're scary. And they go, no, I'm not scary, but we men, you're scary to us. And they go, oh, you know, maybe the guy does have a conversation with me. We talk about everything under the sun. I touch his arm a lot. I lean into him. I smile. I laugh at his corny jokes. I'm thinking, when's he going to ask for my number? You know, do I have to put up a billboard to say, hey, dumb shit, ask me for my number, you know? And then the guy gets done. He goes, it was nice talking to you, shakes the hand. Maybe I'll bump into you sometime. Well, they go, why don't they do that? I go, because he's scared.
Well, they're looking at each different stage. Guys are looking for rejection. So I think
which is just the opposite of approval. If they approve of me, I don't get rejected. So I don't want to. If I've got approval at any level,
correct.
I don't want to risk the rejection.
I'll take that as a win. One of the things that I think women definitely can cultivate is receptiveness. I think that you need to basically treat the men that you're attracted to like particularly slow, mentally disabled golden retrievers. Like, you know, that's the idea. Level of signaling that you need to put out into the world to the guys. And there's this story from sort of aristocrat England, Renaissance period, where ladies would drop a handkerchief in front of men as they were walking. Go back
to that? I mean, when
but it's just
but the guys nowadays would go, was that for him? Oh, it wasn't for me. It must have been for him.
Well, I don't know. It's like, it's not right. But yeah, I think you've spoken about this too, although we didn't talk about it last time. In a post-Me Too world, I do think men and women especially, women probably don't realize the impact that Me Too has had, the negative impact Me Too's had on men's dating behavior. And again, this isn't to say that Me Too wasn't an important redress to some people in Hollywood being total dickheads, and you know Harvey Weinstein's about to like get retried apparently because
he got out of jail.
Yeah,
straight in the hospital.
Some dodgy shit. But in a post-Me Too world, men are terrified of being seen as a predator. Any good man is going to think, well, fuck, like, I don't want to be part of some scandal. I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. I've seen these videos on the internet of girls in the gym being approached by dudes when they're trying to unload plates. Wow, how sensitive and tentative and tenuous is the world of men approaching women at the moment. And I absolutely do not want to internally be that kind of guy, externally be accused of being that kind of guy, reputational destruction, all of this shit. So I think just adjusting the sights on the scope for women, especially in the post-Me Too world, could make dating an awful lot easier for them. It's like, hey, cultivate some receptiveness. Drop a visual handkerchief.
I love that a lot. Can I use that?
Absolutely.
I love that. You know, I told you earlier, I've never said no to an interview. And I did one about 6 months ago with a young guy, Hispanic guy in LA, and found out later when I checked out I was his #1 YouTube post. I was his first YouTube post.
Okay.
Young guy. Great interview. This guy's going to be great. And, but he asked me the question. He said, all right, what advice do you have for guys my age, 21? And he shared an example of where he had not done something inappropriate, but had an experience with his girlfriend, and she was going to post on social media that he raped her. And then apparently a friend intervened, and I don't know the story, but he said, what advice would you give to young men? And I go, honestly, I don't know. I don't know that, you know, when women, if you have a fear that women are going to go post anything and everything on social media, and you got no rebuttal, and you know, it's going to be believed, you know, a mantra that I've never loved is, during #MeToo, is the victim is always to be believed. But what if the victim is a man who's been falsely accused, and he's saying, I'm the victim here, I didn't do that. If he's a man, he's not to be believed. You know, we do have a skewed system around that. Now, yes, one reason, for example, I don't like pick up and approach is I think it's fundamentally invasive. I think men have no idea what it's like to be in a woman's skin, especially, you know, a young, moderately attractive woman who has men walking up to them all the time. And as a woman, you don't know what this guy's about. You do know he's approaching you because you got boobs, and you don't know what the story is from there. You know, whether he's going to come be a nice guy and try to, you know, get your approval, or whether he's going to come on and hit on you. You don't know. You don't know where that's going to lead. And I can understand as a woman, I'd put my guard up. I'd have my guard up if men were just, I'm in the gym and they're approaching me and talking to me, and you know, I don't know where this is headed, what they want. I don't know him from Adam. So I'm not a big fan of just approaching women because they're hot. And I know that's not a popular stand to take because men want hot women. Well, how else am I going to get a hot woman if I don't go to approach her because she's hot? And I go, that's a great way. It's how you pick your car mechanic, your heart surgeon, you know, your dentist. No, you pick them because they're competent at the skills you want them to have. And just assuming because a woman's hot, she's good in bed or going to be a good girlfriend is a reach.
Yeah, you say an obsession with hot women is basically broadcasting a man's low self-worth.
It does tend to do that, but yet we'll go on the internet and we'll say, this, you know, this will make you a real man if you go get the hot woman. So I don't have the answer to that other question of what do you do when interacting with a woman? Because I know when I got out there and got successful with women in my 40s and 50s, I wasn't getting younger. You know, I went through a bankruptcy. I wasn't rich. But I had success, and I just had success because I didn't hold back. I practiced what I call touch, tease, and tell. If I had impulse to touch her, I'd touch her. I'd tease her. I would tell her, come on, let's go do this. And I was just playful. I was uninhibited. And in general, women really liked that and really responded well. But what if we live in a world where if I just touch a woman's arm, I don't know if she's going to have a major overreaction to that, or, you know, she's going to go ballistic, or, you know, she's going to, you know, I become a hashtag Me Too casualty, or it goes on her social media. I don't know the answer to that. So I agree with you, though, that we do need a readjustment. We needed some adjustments that, you know, a world where men could do whatever they wanted to women because they could, they were bigger, they're stronger, they're powerful, that had to change. But now where we have a world where women are going, you know, we live in a culture where in the U.S. now, statistically, for the first time since they started counting numbers, over 50% of men and women 35 and younger report not having been in a relationship for the last year. So with all our hookup culture, all the swipe right, all the, you know, the dating boot camps and, you know, Instagram, you know, you can put all your photo, all of that stuff, people aren't getting into relationships. And I think there's probably a number of factors to it, but I think probably one of them is a fear factor. You know, if I get into a relationship, what are the consequences? If I even try to approach a person and talk to them, what are the negative consequences that are going to get broadcast on social media? And I'm not a big fan of social media for many reasons. It has value, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not a young guy. Having to navigate
it's perilous. It's perilous. And then it's also, you know, perilous as a girl who wants to get into a relationship because they think, well, I need to, you know, Chris said cultivate receptivity and drop the handkerchief and stuff. That sounds like that seems like a smart idea. And yet I'm physically vulnerable and there are these horror stories out there and I am afraid of strange men.
And maybe they've had those horror stories.
And maybe I've got evidence in my history that justifies my fear of that and I've now got to get over it. And it's given that we have the most permissive mating culture ever, it is strange that dating has probably never been so hard.
And go back to the similar statistics, and so few young adults are having sex. You know, maybe porn just makes it easier to just go get things done that way. But yeah, I think we live in a place where, well, my two thoughts about the hookup culture. Yeah, part of it is this fear of, you know, for both men and women, you know, what am I getting myself into? But I think for men, because men, I tell guys, you know, our grandfathers maybe saw 3 beautiful women in their lifetime and didn't see any of them naked, right? Guys can go see beautiful women, not even just on porn, but just on their Instagram feed, just TikTok, whatever. Beautiful woman after beautiful woman without a lot of clothes on. So I think there's one thing with men nowadays, even if we get a woman, maybe a woman that we consider desirable, we're looking around, well, she's cuter, she's cuter, she's cuter, she's cuter. And so I think guys have this thing, well, I can't make any kind of ongoing commitment to this one because there might be this cuter one that I want to be with. And I tell guys, number one, of course, you're always going to see prettier, younger women. And the woman you're with also sees the prettier, younger women and knows you're thinking, wouldn't it be nice? And so that's always going to happen. I tell guys, you have to stop that kind of thinking, kind of ruminating. Well, I'm with this one, but because I'm with her, I can't be with her. That serves no purpose. That will not move you forward in life because even if you weren't with this one, you probably wouldn't talk to that one anyway. Yeah. But so I think for the men, there's just so many beautiful women to be seen everywhere. We have this fear of getting all the way in with one because what if I want to get with that other beautiful woman? But I think for women, it's a little bit different dynamic. And, maybe I'll hear from some women about this. I think for the women, social media gives them lots of attention. And I think the feminine thrives on attention and desire and praise. That's the feminine in any of us. And so I think for the women, if I just commit to one guy, if I get all within one guy, I got to turn off my social media and this constant funnel of praise. I got to quit putting sexy selfies of myself up and getting all the likes and all the, and so we've got this kind of technological world that makes it so easy to meet, connect, go fast, and nobody's actually getting together or staying together for any length of time.
Talk to me about how guys can be more confident when talking to women.
Not seek their approval. You know what? I've never worried about confidence. Now, I will say that if a man interacts with a woman with confidence, it creates the same chemical reaction in her brain that he would have if she lifted her shirt and showed her his breasts. You don't have to think about it. We don't have to think, do I like those? It's just wired. And if a guy is confident, women, they don't have to think about it. Do I like that? But they just like it. What I found for me, because, I've got all my own insecurities and I've got all my own history of, well, women aren't attracted to me and beautiful women aren't attracted to me, even though my second wife was gorgeous and I've been with plenty of beautiful women. We've got these messages that still dictate, how we behave. For me, it was always more of a matter of just not holding back. Not holding back. Again, the fact that I would just talk to people everywhere I go. And all of a sudden, a woman in a room see, who is that guy? He like talks to everybody. He seems to know everybody. Every restaurant I went in, I asked people their name. I asked Uber drivers their name. I asked your camera guy his name. Anthony, right?
Yes.
You had to think, is that right? I hope you can embarrass me if it wasn't.
That's fine.
Yeah. But I always ask their names. And if I forget or get it wrong, I ask again. And so there's just something about that of just being socially interactive that I've found tends to be highly attractive to the feminine. Now, I'm married to a jealous Latina, and she is always pointing out women that are coming on to me or, trying to get my attention. They're always very young, and I don't chase young women, but there's just something about being comfortable in your own skin. You like that quote, I remember. Just being comfortable in your own skin, having a life of purpose, know where you're going, enjoying that path, enjoying where you're going. I think it makes you attractive to all things. Men, women, opportunity, money, adventure. And I'm a big fan of saying yes. A dear old friend of mine passed away a few years ago, a gay fellow down in Puerto Vallarta. Had this bed and breakfast I used to stay at, my mother used to stay at, and him and his gay partner ran it. And he used to say, it's a sin to say no when you should have said yes. So I used to
It's a very strong philosophy for a gay person. I imagine a lot of gay guys live by that philosophy. I used to be surrounded by gay men whenever I'd be there, and guys would say, well, how do you know when you should have said no? And you go, oh, you'll know in 24 hours. But I turned that into basically my guide for life. That's why I said yes to my wife when she said, I went back and got a massage. Every amazing thing in my life has come from saying yes.
You know, I say yes to interviews. I say yes to opportunities. I say yes to go go be a part of this retreat. I just keep saying yes. And it's funny how things just keep coming to me when you say yes. I used to be, I'd think about it, research it, talk about it a lot, take a lot of time, and then the opportunities come and gone. So I think that being uninhibited, not holding back, having a yes mentality has tended to make me attractive to women. And, I even kind of hesitate to say that, I'm 68 years old, hair's gone. What I've got is white, I just think I'm very average in very many ways. And in spite of that averageness, I don't seem to have any problem attracting good things to my life, whether they be opportunities to talk to interesting people, take interesting trips, have women pay attention to me. And there's no magic to it, but if I just tell guys, again, get out of the house, expand your route, linger in public, talk to people, test for interest, walk through open doors, say yes, it makes you an interesting person. And, when you were working in nightclubs, that's all the people were. They were just saying they were interacting with people, right?
Yes.
And they're not because they were so rich or so good looking. They just were engaged. And that just makes such a difference.
What are some of the more successful or creative ways that people can use online dating? You mentioned that you briefly sort of got into and got out of the apps. For better or worse, they're here to stay.
Well, I actually never did the apps. They came along, and maybe I'm grateful for that. I hear they're addictive. And maybe that's part of the problem. I know guys, I've had guys come visit me in Puerto Vallarta and, they get on the apps, Tinder and whatever, looking for women around. And like the whole time they're hanging out with me or at my house or by the pool, they're on the friggin' app the entire time and maybe get a few dates out of it. So, they work. A buddy told me one time that apparently he got pretty good at doing the apps. And he said, if you ever got a mutual connection, his standard response was whatever the woman's name was, say her name. Hey, Jessica, you animal. What are you doing here? And he said, that just seems to work. Now, I don't know that it's tried or true, but it does kind of fit that model of just not holding back, just being out there. I tell guys, blurt. So just blurt. I tell guys, if something comes to the front of your mind, just say it. The more you hold back, the safer you get. And again, even though I say women by nature are security-seeking creatures, i.e. the whole #MeToo thing, they're drawn to something that has an edge to it, something that has some energy to it. So I'd say as much as anything, don't play it safe. Playing safe is boring. But again, to just give now, my favorite one, like I said, I was pre-app, but one of the things I would do, if I connected with a woman like on Match.com, I'd send her a message and I say, all right, I call you up. I tell you, you got 30 minutes to pack your passport, your flip-flops, and your bikini. Where are we going? And it starts a conversation. It kind of gets them thinking. It gets you into their mind of doing something together. It's going to be a nice place, some tropical or warm. Because I've already told them, pack your bikini, your flip-flops, and your passport. Going someplace fun. And they get to pick what it is. So now, if they respond to that, I find out how they think, how they engage in that kind of energy, what kind of places they like to go. We got something to talk about now. If I have been there, not been there, we can talk about it. Have you been there? So do something that just creates an energy that they want to respond to.
It's exciting. It's playful.
Yeah.
Charlie, you went on my friend Charlie Hoopert's show a couple of months ago, and he has almost exactly the same thing for speaking to women, that like, where would we go if we were going to take a trip away together? And then she says that, and he says, oh, it's okay. I'll quit my job. I can sell Lucy cigarettes on the beachfront.
Yeah.
We can make mushroom cocktails and we'll sell those. And it's fun. Like that kind of fantasizing, the playful sort of like teasing energy. I think, I don't know, there's a meta meme at the moment around seriousness and earnestness from guys, but like the playfulness, I think, is where it's fun because it helps to relieve some of the pressure. You're a dude who's speaking to a girl. You're already terrified that she's going to reject you. You're terrified about these things, and the more serious you make the interaction, the more that piles the pressure on.
You know, I mentioned earlier that I think all the women I've been married to have ruminating brains, and I think a lot of women do. My wife will say, "Oh, today's a 12 hamster day." You're just the hamsters are spinning up there. And if you think about it, most women nowadays live in such, I'll just call it a masculine world. You know, with feminism, they've been taught, you know, go accomplish, have a career, don't be dependent on a man, you know, blah, 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 blah. Don't even think about kids till you're pushing 40, you know, just try. I mean, just that whole, the masculine doing mentality. And if they have any degree of feminine essence, they also like beauty and love and escape and beaches and romance but yet most of them just drown that out because they got to get up, got to do their job. Looking for this studio, I came in from the door down on the street, and I opened the door, and here's 25 women all sitting at desks real close to each other, and I go, yeah, I'm looking for the studio, and you know, and they, what floor, what suite? So anyway, you know, here's all these young women doing a job, right?
Yep.
Driven to do that. And, you know, the whole song, you know, girls just want to have fun. They do. They want an escape from that. And often they don't know how to get themselves out of that hamster wheel mentality.
That's interesting.
Once they're in it, they don't have a ready-built escape. Maybe that's why they all go get the glass of wine or cocktail hour or whatever.
It relieves that.
So what if you come along and they weren't expecting you, they don't know who you are, and maybe, you know, whatever, however you engage them, gets them past that fear of who is this guy, what does he want? And what if you can just be engaging and playful and spontaneous and uninhibited? You know, you're either going to make their day better for 45 seconds, or you may, you know, spend a while. When I was taking salsa lessons, and you know, I went from being a terrible salsa dancer to being, you know, kind of an awkward, still white guy salsa dancer. But, you know, I'd be standing on a corner waiting on a bus or standing somewhere, and I'd ask a woman, "Do you salsa?" And if they said no, I go, "I'm taking lessons. Let me show you a step." I would just get them in frame, and I would do a simple cross-body lead. Or if they said yes, I go, "Good, I'm taking salsa. Let me practice with you. I'm trying to practice, you know, this cross-body lead with a spin." I would just do stuff like that. And again, not as a technique, but I just found that if I just was uninhibited and engaged with people, most people are going to just stay glued to their phone, but, you know, some people actually respond. They light up. They want to engage, even again, for just a few moments or longer.
Talk to me about being outcome agnostic.
Outcome agnostic. I didn't come up with that term, but the first time I heard it, I just loved it. You know, probably most of us have heard that the Buddha said that attachment is the cause of all suffering. When I teach men this about being outcome agnostic, non-attached to outcome, men get mad at me. They think I made that up and imposed it on them. No, don't put it on me. It probably preceded the Buddha even. But the truth is, if we get emotionally attached to a specific outcome, we're going to suffer. And that's just the human condition. And we all get attached. And guys will say, "Well, why would I even date? Why would I talk to a woman if I wasn't attached to getting that pretty woman?" And I go, "Well, you might not." But I said, if you have fewer attachments, you might actually be more engaging and not so anxious. Because I also say that attachment is the cause of all anxiety. And so what if, we'll keep it in the dating sphere, what if there's a woman standing next to you, and let's say, you know, she's reasonably attractive and you want to say something to her. What if you were equally okay with every possible outcome? Now, you might prefer some, right? You might prefer that, you know, she smile and respond to you and maybe give you a number and maybe she go on a date with you, unless maybe you find out she's a psycho bitch from hell. And then you wished she hadn't, you know. But then what if you're equally okay with that as a possible outcome? And life flows. You can say yes to more things if you're equally okay with every possible outcome. And again, are we going to like some outcomes better than others? Yes. But are some of the outcomes we didn't love, do they turn out to maybe be an outcome that we didn't see coming? I had a tumor blocking my small intestine 6 years ago. Really sick. 3 months in pain all the time. Couldn't eat, couldn't use the bathroom, lost over 30 pounds, went to doctors in the US, Mexico, got undiagnosed, misdiagnosed. Did I want that? I knew it was killing me. I didn't know what is killing me. The last doctor I saw in the US, a gastroenterologist, said, you probably just have, a Mexican parasite you have to outlive. I wasn't going to outlive a golf ball-sized tumor in my small intestine. She didn't even run the right test to go looking for it. At some point, I surrendered. I didn't know what I had. I didn't know if it was going to kill me. I had a pretty good idea. It might be killing me. I was headed that direction. I was in pain all the time. The only remedy to pain was just breathing and relaxing into it. And when I finally surrendered into it, the pain became less. Did I want to be in pain? No. But I surrendered. I accepted I had something I might not ever know what I had. I accepted it might be killing me. And it got easier. People would ask me, Robert, how are you feeling? And I'd say, I don't know if I'm actually doing better, feeling better, or just I've gotten better at feeling bad. But the surrender and the acceptance of it let me live with it. And then a great story of how my wife found the doctor that found the tumor, that took it out and all of that. And here I am 6, 7 years later, and life's good and I'm happy. Would I want to go through that again? No, but I do it at least once a year.
No, just a little reminder.
Yeah, just have a good life. So it's a practice to become outcome agnostic, to be equally okay with every possible outcome. Guys will say, why would I even get out of bed in the morning? And I go, I don't know about you, but when I'm not attached to if I'm not emotionally attached to so many specific outcomes, I get out of bed in a good mood, excited for the adventure of the day.
Yep.
This morning, I knew I was going to come do an interview with you, and I know we had a previously good interview, so I knew it was going to be good. You say, I'm going to introduce you to some phenomenally interesting friends. All of my friends have bets going on who that may be. So we're having a good time. It doesn't matter who you introduce me to because I know it's going to be cool. We're going to have a good time. So what if we can just get up every day and live that way, that life's going to be good today? One of my mantras is I love waking up in the morning, not knowing how my day is going to end. And I've had so many days getting ready for bed going, I did not see this coming when I got up this morning. And today's probably going to be one of those days.
You are experienced in dating after breakups and divorces. What is your advice to guys that are trying to get back into the market after they've been in a relationship for a while?
I don't know if it changes that much for guys who've never been. When I got out in the dating world, I realized two things. I'd done enough work on myself by that time. I realized that I'd always used nice guy seduction to get women. Listen to them talk about their problems, be kind, be nice, do things for them, fix things, pay their car payment, help their sister move. And then maybe, and hide your sexual agenda from them. Then maybe they'll want to take their clothes off. The math on that doesn't work well either. And so I thought, okay, I got to change that pattern. And I thought two things. Like I said, I was in my late 40s. I thought I have to become a better picker and I have to become a better ender. And I didn't even know really how to be a good picker. So friends started giving me all kinds of stuff. I read Neil Strauss. Guys gave me Double Your Dating with David D'Angelo. I just listened to podcasts. And mainly, like I said, I just got out in public. Every chance I got, I was in public, and every chance I got, I talked to people. And then I just got bold, and I took risks, and I asked for numbers. I found that that's easy. Often women, like I said, they're waiting for the guy, say, give me your number. I guess nowadays you ask for people's Instagram, but, showing my age again. So I decided I had to become a better picker, but be a better ender, because part of my nice guy seduction thing is that once I got a woman, I'd hang on way too long because I didn't know if I'd ever get another one again, and I didn't want to have to go out again and go through the whole process. So I stayed way too long in every relationship I was ever in. Usually in the first few months, I recognized there were severe warning signs. And about 3 years in, at some level, I realized they were done growing or, evolving in the relationship. And I'd stay a few more years and usually then act badly, and then I got to be the bad guy for how the relationship ended. And so I realized I had to be a better picker. So become a better picker and better ender. And I realized that being a good ender covers a multitude of sins of being a bad picker. And actually what dating is making multiple bad picks. One bad pick of it. That's what dating is. Go on a date and find out, do you want to go on a second date? If you don't, end it, right? You made a bad pick, but you didn't know you made a bad pick until you go. When guys would say, Robert, I don't know what's wrong with me. All my dates are just one and done. We go on this one date, one coffee date, and then, I don't want to see them again, or I don't hear from them again. I go, good. That's how it's supposed to work. You should not, every woman you meet should not become your future wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so becoming a better picker, I think you do have to get socially adept. You have to get good at knowing you can meet people, you can connect with people, because if you don't know that and you do connect with somebody, you're just going to hang on to them for dear life. And so really go work at being that social animal. During COVID, that really got tough, but hopefully we got another window of time where we can actually get out and be social.
Tactically, how can people be better enders?
Better enders, sooner rather than later. Always sooner rather than later. Now, people with ruminating brains can spend years in a relationship every day. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Thinking, well, if I leave, will I regret it? And what if she gets another guy? Then I'll be jealous. And well, but what if I stay? I'm missing out on that opportunity. So ruminating brain makes this, hell on wheels on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you realize a person is not somebody that you can't imagine yourself not being with, it's probably a good time to stop it. And I learned from trial and error that I met many, when I started dating, I did not want to just jump back in a relationship. I'd been married 25 years and I just wanted the experience of dating. And I wasn't even trying to just go get laid a lot. I wanted that too, but I was just wanting the experience of dating and meeting people. And I let women know that up front. And, the majority of them, that's cool, that's great, that's what I'm about to. Some women say, well, don't waste my time if you're not looking to get in a relationship. Okay, great. And they would say that and then still sleep with me. It's kind of funny. And so, but what I did realize, a lot of women very quickly wanted to get sexual with me and did. I mean, I'm going on first and second dates and they're getting naked without me. I'm going, whoa, is this the world that I live in now?
Yep.
And because that didn't seem to be the way it was when I was young. And so, so I said yes to all those opportunities. And even when the women knew, I was seeing multiple women and not trying to be exclusive, I noticed many were beginning to develop fond feelings. And I'm going, well, I've got sexual access. I've already told her, I'm not just seeing her. And I quickly learned, don't continue doing that. If I don't see myself being with her over a long period of time and I can see that look in her eye, that she's getting those feelings, I would end it.
Even if you've stated up front.
Even if.
Yeah. Do you think that that's the sort of female attachment, the belief that maybe I can be the one that's going to break him out of this preconceived idea of what he's going to do?
Maybe. I don't know that I can speak to it. What I think maybe the best generalization I can make is that men do this too. So it's hard to really generalize. But I think in women, when they open up to have sex with a man, they also tend to open their heart up. And they begin thinking in terms of the relational dynamic with this person. Not just, oh, that felt good to have sex, but I like being with him. I want to see him again. I want to know him. I want to connect with him. And whereas men can do that too. I'm not saying it's just a guy or girl thing, but maybe maybe the women are more likely to do that, and the guys more likely go, oh, if I can keep having sex with 3 or 4 women, why would I stop doing that?
Yep.
And the woman is going, I wonder if I can just get him to have sex with me because I like that.
I think there's especially with a modern culture that tells women you can work like your father and have sex like your brother. You can be
Did you make that up?
Yeah.
That is good.
It's what modern culture has taught women.
Yeah.
Work like your father, have sex like your brother. And, that feels liberating and empowering and independent and modern and progressive and cool and sexy and all of this stuff. And then, for you to say, hey, I can't bifurcate my feelings from my body in the way that culture is telling me that I should be able to, and in the way that men seem to be able to do more effectively. Like, look, to the ladies that are listening, you are not going to be able to out casual sex the guy that you're having casual sex with. Like, even if he's catching some feels, you're catching more on average. And it's not a fair fight, this sort of degree of casualness. And I do think that, I'm back on the dating scene now, which I haven't been for a very long time, which is scary and a whole new world for me. And learning to be open and honest and upfront. And then it's almost like being overly honest in a way. It's not to do with honesty. What you're suggesting here is like, look, I know where this will come into land. Like, I know what the outcome of this is going to be if we just keep on running this same script forward.
Right.
I'm going to step in and get us there more quickly. I'm going to shortcut this because I think that I can reduce a little bit of pain, a bit of discomfort, and all the rest of it before there is more pain and more discomfort. And I'm going to do that myself.
And that's a good way of saying, what I learned over time. Because even when I'd tell women up front, I'm just recently out of, relationship, and they go, great, great, great. I'd start seeing that look in their eye, and I'd remind them again, and they all would say the same thing. I heard you the first time. Their brain heard me the first time. Their heart was getting connected, and I promise you, if their heart's getting connected, and you're good looking, you're charismatic, you're in good shape, you're successful, they are going to fall. They're going to fall for you. You know that. And they're going to fall, and I'll just be blunt, if you're fucking them well. Oh, they just want they want it. They want that whole package. And, if you're just in it and you're fucking them well and you're enjoying that part of it, but you're not, seeing them in the same way they see you, every time that I let that go longer, and then it comes to an end. It does. At some point, you're a mismatch, and it becomes so obvious it can't be denied. And then it's messy. And, dating's messy enough. And so I made that conscious decision that even if the woman seemed really cool with us continuing to have casual sex, when I knew her heart was opening and she was loving the sex and just loving being with me, I had to end it. Break her heart. I know it sounds egotistical, but it's not. I'd rather break her heart, 3 or 4 weeks into it rather than 3 or 4 months into it. And that does make a big difference in the timeline of dating.